Okay, yeah, thank you. Well, first of all, yeah, thank you for inviting me to share a few words. My name is Daniel Landry, and I'm born and raised here in San Francisco, a native. I grew up in Fillmore Western Edition of District 5. I'm actually an advocate and now over 27 years. I've participated in many grassroots organizations and movements. Uh, One being establishing uh, the San Francisco Cats Academy, where I'm a founder and also a director of. I helped establish the Lower Fillmore Neighborhood Association, and I've been working for years now as assistant secretary and president of a low-income housing cooperative called Martin Luther King Marcus Garvey Co-op, which is in D5 also. I'm 51 years old. I have three children, four grandchildren. My background of discrimination major. I've been volunteering not only for the 3 decades, but I've also been working with a lot of grassroots campaigns where I was helped craft Prop F in 2008, which acts for a more affordable housing in Bacon Hunters Point. And that same year, I sat on the Restoration Advisory Board to the U.S. Navy, which was actually the voice of the community in Bayview Hunters Point, dealing with the Superfund site over on the Hunters Point shipyard. Let me see, what else? Pretty much that covers it. I, oh, and I'm a former, of course, Francisco Green Party member, and I voted for Ralph Nader, Matt Gonzalez in the past, so I'm very familiar with the Green Party. Thank you.
Okay, thank you
Thank you.
very much. Do we have any questions? Uh, I guess I'll go ahead and ask one about it's an environmental question. Um,
Yes.
your position on natural areas program and tree removals and addition of groundwater to our city's Hetch Hetchy supply. I'm a little bit just if you would just clarify your positions on those, I would appreciate it.
Well, yeah, definitely. I am a firm believer. This is just years I've seen in San Francisco, that the environment needs to be protected on all levels. The Golden State was just a quick example. Once I moved to San Francisco, I attended some of them original meetings and argued that we have to be very careful on putting a stadium or an arena on liquid fat. With any other environmental issues, whether we're dealing with toxics, whether we're dealing with global warming, my position is that we should always embrace the precautionary principles that we have on the books with our charter and be very mindful of when we are actually inviting anyone to do any work in our city or suggesting that they don't do it here to impact our long-term environmental community. So I'm definitely grassrooted, and I've for years, even working with the Sierra Club in the past, I've always been a voice and taking positions that link our city clean and fight against any environmental issues that would plague us for the long haul.
May I suggest that you're breaking up a lot? It shows up on my screen that your bandwidth is low. And feel free to just to turn off your camera and just talk to us, because I'm sure that that'll reduce the amount of data that your computer is trying to send out, and we'll be able to hear you better.
Yeah, let's give that a try. Yeah, the question that I appreciate your response to that question about the natural areas program and tree removals and groundwater in our Hetch Hetchy supply. I guess I'd like to follow up with you about incremental zoning. The Home SF program has been kind of an albatross that we have to deal with here in the Western neighborhoods. How do you feel that incremental zoning might affect D5, the community that you live in? And what's your position on that?
Well, I think it's incremental zoning is good. I mean, we have to, as we look at D5 and some of the changes that's happening with our public transportation, and just the fact that we have now, of course, more cars, dealing with car sharing and Uber and things like that. I think we have to be mindful or careful on increment zoning, but we can, as a city, ensure that our planning department is in sync with all the laws that protects our city, our zoning. That is, when it comes to either building, with I forget the idea, but I'm for that. That's my position.
Okay. Anyone else have any other questions? John Mark has a question for you.
Yeah, I wanted to see what you thought of on the issue of decentralization. If you have any specific suggestions for charter amendments or other reforms that would kind of break up our strong mayor system and maybe reduce some of the corruption in city government. Tell us more about your thoughts on that, please.
Well, yeah. So I think decentralization is good. We have to, like you just so well put, break up the corruption at City Hall, and one of the ways is by giving localities and communities more power. In my immediate community of D5, the Fillmore Western Edition, for years now, I've been trying to get our supervisors to realize that because we lost our community benefits district years back when Ross Mercarimi was our supervisor, and I thought that was a bad idea because when the local communities can't feel like their voice is being heard at City Hall all the way to the top, then you have the thing where people just vote and you really don't have no follow-up and people don't realize voting is just the first step. It's really after the vote that is really big. So I think it's my idea would be to join other supervisors and to ensure that our charter, as well as the conversation and discussion, can happen at every level, and be open to anyone who would want to push a law that would help center the power at the bottom. And I would take a position to support that because I don't think we really can say we are a democratic government if we don't allow every voice to be heard. And from all the way from the grassroots all the way to the mayor's office, feel that when we speak, that our government is listening. So that would be my position. I'm very strong on the grassroots voice, and this is why I call my campaign "Pushing the People Agenda," because it's really not any other agenda that I can see that's more valuable in the times and what we're living in, even now with COVID-19. It really proves that stronger locality communities and having the power at every level is really what we're looking for.
Okay, thanks. Rich, did you have a question? You're muted.
Yes. Hi, Daniel.
Hi.
In light of, in light of everything that's going on with COVID and everything, we're now, in the last, 24, 48 hours, we realize that that we're faced with the dawning task of reality of, Trump wanting to send, federal troops to places other than, Portland and Washington, D.C. And in light of that, how would you choose to actually, address it, and especially in light of, of our own police officer association, which seems, in my humble opinion, or actually, probably not so humble, but probably a really strong opinion that I really would, really be worried about that the Police Officers Association response in terms of wanting to, cooperate with the federal troops. So in light of any type of federal troop response that they're actually proposing for Oakland, if they were to do that for San Francisco, and you were a supervisor, how would you choose to address that with your fellow board members and the mayor?
Well, number one, I would hope that the conversation would not be so political. And what I mean by that, if we listen clearly to President Trump and position of the federal government protecting statues and protecting federal property, I would hope that all of us here locally and definitely a city like San Francisco and Oakland, sanctuary cities, understand that the police department not only needs to be defunded, the police department needs to be literally broken down and then build back up. And what I mean by that, in 2016, the Blue Ribbon Panel came out with a report and actually echoed the same thing I'm saying here tonight. Our police department have a culture and a systemic problem. And to add any outsiders, federal government, the highway patrolman, you're only adding fuel to the fire, because if we can't, as San Franciscans, trust or entrust in our department, anyone coming outside will only make things worse. So I think it's a far reach for our president to say, well, look, I want to bring in the federal troops to, or the, not, well, the, Department of Homeland Security to protect our federal historic landmarks. On one level, we could say, okay, yeah, I get it. It's you dealing with federal property, but we're dealing with a certain climate, like you just spoke of. We're living in a certain time, and the people are saying we want to be police with police officers who understand that you're serving us first, not yourself. And with this qualified immunity, with all these different laws that protects law enforcement, whether it's the Bill of Rights and the unions like the POA, which in 2016 also we had to tell them directly stop sending texts and penalizing the good officers who come forth. Because there's a lot of good officers who just want to go to work and that's it and do their job. But if we're not celebrating that, when an officer, good officer, come forth and say, you know what, I know some things that's going on that in our law enforcement department, then we're back at ground zero. So I would say that we have to be very mindful, and as supervisor, we cannot allow the federal government to just parachute in and think you can solve something that can be solved on a local and district level. We don't need interference. We need support.
Perhaps repeat, Daniel, perhaps you should repeat the last.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, 10 or 15 seconds. Yes, we can hear you now. The audio was actually being like time stretched. So maybe the last, you'll reiterate what you said in the last maybe 30 seconds or so, 20 or 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I just believe that our federal government need to do more support of our local government and even our state governor, Gavin Newsom, when we know what's going on here in our cities and we know what we have to do here in our cities. I think it's a tragedy what we see up in Portland that's taking place and throughout the country. And I don't think it would actually work. And I think our president has a golden opportunity to really bring the country together, but he can't think that things is going to get better by saying that I'm going to police this, what he called mobs out there, doing away with these historic landmarks, but then ignoring the fact that no one would be out there unless people have died at the hands of the police throughout America. So to me, it's almost like adding insult to injury, and he actually is making people more angry, and more people get involved, and in their attempt to change our law enforcement here throughout the country. And locally, as a supervisor, there's a lot of things we can do. And number one is defund the police and start that conversation towards moving, towards changing our department to reflect more the values of the people of San Francisco.
Okay.
Great. Thanks.
Thanks for that clear articulation. Finally, we appreciate that.
Yes,
If you
thank
could, just for a moment, bring yourself back up on screen with some video. We're
Okay,
out of time, but I think people should be able to see your face and recognize you. There you are, sir.
Well,
Thank you very much for joining us this evening. We're going to make this available to the public, so good luck with your campaign, and thanks for standing for public office.
again, yeah, and thank you for the opportunity, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
All right, absolutely.
Thank
Have
you.
a good night.